All right, what's up? I'm Luke Rain. I am a producer, DJ, and vocalist from Seattle, Washington, in the United States. I actually heard about Smart Noise about a year ago, and when I really finally started getting, actually jumped on it, about it's like 5 months ago, maybe. I really started seeing some results. I've been releasing with some indie labels, and they helped get my music on discovery mode. I was getting better at doing the social media thing. I was getting better at texting people in my circle, reminding like I've got like little text shortcuts on my phone, or when people like, text me about something, or I'm inviting them to a show and it's like, hey, got a show on Friday. Can you make it? Yes, awesome. Here's, text shortcut. By the way, I got some new music out. Go listen to my playlist of my new music. And, people press play on the new one and usually just like let it stream through. And, I had gotten, I had gone from like very, very few streams, under 1,000 on most of my tracks, over a couple years of trying to having most of my tracks get over 1,000 streams within a month or two, and I got one of my songs, my most popular one, Mama Gaia, up to about 20,000 streams. And that was going really well. I thought, I was like, wow, it's like really starting to go. But I kept, watching all the videos online. There's so many videos about how musicians should promote themselves. And parts of them made sense to me, parts of them didn't make sense to me. But the thing about sending them to a playlist like really got me. Like that part really made a lot of sense. Because what's the point of spending all that effort and money to get somebody to do something difficult like leave social media if you're only going to get one stream, and then Spotify radio takes them to somebody else's music on discovery mode? And so I think in the 5 months leading up to when I actually started launching my playlist ads, I probably got maybe 40 or 50,000 total plays across my catalog, which was growing. I was releasing about once a month at that time. And then starting at like the end of September, beginning of October 2024, I ended up, remembering that Smart Noise exists. It had been in the back of my mind. I had, seen you guys' ads. I had signed up for the free trial maybe about a year ago, and run the ads for 2-3 weeks, and was like, okay, cool. So this does work. I got like 50 followers on my playlist with just really small budget, $5 or less a day on a couple of ads. And I didn't even have any idea how to target back then, and I didn't didn't really know what I was doing. But I decided, I kept telling myself, oh, when I have the money, that's when I'll launch these ads. But I kept spending the money on other things, like I bought a new computer, good purchase. I was doing some travel. I was going to festivals, going to networking events. And I realized like, yo, like money comes and goes. If I put it towards this, it's going to be what it is. And I got this very strong intuition, like a calling to take a leap of faith. Actually, I was hanging out between festivals, doing some camping, and I was doing some yoga out in nature, and all of these grasshoppers came up and started hanging out by me, like 7 or 8 large grasshoppers. And I once been told that grasshoppers mean if you see a bunch of grasshoppers, take a leap of faith. And I knew what it meant. It was like sign up for Smart Noise and just start running ads. So I did, and in the 5 months, so like I said, it was maybe like 40 or 50,000 streams in the 5 months before I started my Smart Noise ads. And in the 5 months since then, I have gotten 800,000 streams. I grew my Spotify monthly listeners from 1,800. That was like what it said when I first started the first ad. Right now, I'm just under 51,000 monthly listeners. Spotify, just within a few weeks, started me my own Spotify radio, started me the This Is Luke Rain official Spotify channel, the official playlist. And within about, I would say, like, I don't know, how long was it? Maybe 7 weeks or so. I broke into uh, I broke into Discover Weekly and really started getting a lot of streams on radio. Currently, I'm getting about 50,000 streams a month just from those two playlists algorithmically.
Oh,
And then I got eligible for discovery mode, and so I started putting some of my less popular tracks on that and getting about 5,000 streams a month. I think I got like 5,500 streams last month from discovery mode. Um, yeah, so it's
no,
I ended up, yeah, I've been talking a bunch. What's up, buddy?
no, I mean, man, that is an amazing walkthrough. And I mean, first of all, congrats, because I mean, going from 1,800 monthly listeners to, 51,000 monthly listeners in just a few months, it's pretty crazy. Especially when, you know, uh, obviously, I don't want this conversation to be this is the like end all be all type of approach, but at the same time, I feel like when you start doing some things that are obviously working, you also start getting momentum. And, eventually one thing, leads to another and another and another. And if you're able to, turn uh, and literally go like have this type of growth in the span of a few months, a lot of more things start to basically open, and uh, I wouldn't say this is typical, because obviously you did pretty much everything right. That's for sure.
Thanks.
But um, obviously there are a lot of things that need to happen, or a lot of things that need to be in place if you want to see that type of growth. And I think you will agree with me, but like having great music obviously is the first one, because
Key.
you can run 150 ads a day, spend a bunch of like $1,000 a day, but if your music sucks, it's like, if you're a bad singer, even if you sing with a microphone in front of 50,000 people, it's just it won't change. Like 50,000 people will hear that you suck. It's not gonna like they are not going to become fans just because it's amplified. So obviously, you found your niche. You found what works for you. And I'm
Hmm.
curious, because from what it looks like, you definitely have a very specific niche. Like you have these like almost like spiritual type of branding going on, and that, I mean, I assume, is something that is helping you like really identify who your audience is. And I
Hmm.
and I think this is also what's missing for a lot of artists. They even when they try to run the same type of campaign, where they want to grow their playlist, but they go so broad that even if this is a type of campaign that is probably the easiest to run and that's the easiest to see results from, they are not going to see the same results because they are trying to appeal to everyone. So I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on this, and what was your thought process when launching these campaigns.
Yeah, good question. Um, so yeah, one to answer like the direction of my music, I went through a lot of evolutions as a musician, as many of us have. I started out really into hip hop back in the day. And then I got the advice to become an engineer, and that allowed me to explore, engineering and producing for other people in other genres, R&B, pop, EDM. And then I found this like community called Ecstatic Dance. That's this like alcohol free, free form dance community that's all around the world. And I really realized like, oh, I feel like this is who I've been getting ready to make music for. So I have, when I'm making my music, I have a very specific dance floor in mind. It's eclectic, it's melodic, it's positive, it's uplifting. It's, they like bassiness and they also like lightness. So it's like I found this kind of like Venn diagram and it fits all of the sides of my personality really authentically. I can get into my hip hop and R&B and pop and EDM, I can like all sorts of genres, and I'm a very eclectic person. So that piece is really true. Like for the artists out there, like really hone in on your own authenticity and like having a real dance floor, a real group of people in mind. I make music for my actual friends because I know they will love these songs, and then the dance floor will love these songs, and then I know I have an idea of who I'm making these ads for, because I have an idea of who the music is for. And it's like people who think like and feel like and make dance like my friends do, right? So that's really helpful. And then when I am actually like making the ads, I really think about, and actually I guess it starts with making the playlist because like you said, it's got to be good songs.
Yeah.
And I believe all the songs that I release are good, but I know that some of them are much catchier than others. So we might believe this one song is our best song, but we might be wrong. We might be wrong that it's the catchiest one for other people. It might be the one that means the most to us, but sometimes the ones that mean the most to me are really expensive to get clicks on, and other ones are way, way cheaper. And so it's a good idea to like test multiple songs and see which ones really respond. I work with a really good vocalist named Sarah Connor. Shouts to Sarah Connor. She's on the song Mama Gaia. That was the one that was up to 20,000 streams before I started. So I was like, clearly this one is the one that's the catchiest. People are listening to it on loop. And then right after I started the ads, there was another one with her that came out called Call of the Wild that I knew was also, I had a feeling was also really strong because people kept asking me about it during my live shows. And so I ended up making playlists around a lot of songs, but those two playlists were the ones that really got the cheapest clicks. Even when I didn't know how to target and even when I didn't know how to really make the ads yet, those ones were the ones that worked the best. And so to like kind of hone in on my strategy, a lot of people, I've heard the thing, make a playlist, right? Okay, cool, I agree. But they're like, no, make a playlist that's about you as an artist. And I feel like that's a really good thing for warm audiences, people who already know you exist and want to go support you because you exist, right? Like if I'm the one I text my friends when I'm inviting them to a show, be like, oh, by the way, oh, you can come? By the way, here's the new songs. Let me know if you got requests. Oh, you can't come? I love you anyways. Here's the new songs as a consolation prize, and I'll see you at the next show. Right? That show is called Luke Rain, or that playlist is called Luke Rain Music. It's all about me. Newest stuff on top, right? But these playlists that I'm advertising to cold audiences are not about me at all. They're about the vibe curated around the song that I'm advertising. So the Mama Gaia playlist is called Mama Gaia Vibes. Call of the Wild playlist is called Call of the Wild Vibes. And those are my two most popular playlists. There's another one that's a collaborative playlist with a guy named Cello Joe, where we have our collab called Borderless. It's a dance song, very earthy world dance vibes. And so it's called Borderless Dance Energy. It's like a celebration of dancing many different cultures around the world. And we have a very eclectic mix of our two songs, right? But it's about like people, you're giving people a gift of the vibration of dance playlist or chill out playlist or headbang playlist or whatever vibe they're already looking for, and you're gifting them this playlist. Oh, I don't have to search through music. I can just press play and let it roll.
I
And
was
then,
actually going
yeah,
to, yeah,
please.
I was actually going to ask you because I've seen a lot of artists, they are sold on this concept of like, okay, now it makes sense that if I have my own playlist and I drive traffic to this playlist, I will get repeat streams. It's gonna grow, followers. It's gonna become an asset. That is awesome. But I think the mistake a lot of them are doing is literally what you just mentioned. Instead of selling people, quote unquote, a vibe, they are already selling themselves. And part of the reason why, grow like getting people to your playlist is much more effective is because it's such an easier quote unquote sell than saying, hey, I'm going to interrupt, you scrolling and watching memes and like cat videos to check out myself. Please give me your attention. Please do this thing for me. Check out my music. And like doing that still works. I mean, tons of campaigns work like that. But when you approach it like I'm quote unquote selling you an experience, almost like a curated experience,
Mm-hmm.
then the sell becomes much easier because again,
Yeah.
it's not about you anymore. Even though the trick is that it's about you in a way, but they are not like it's not being perceived as this artist is trying to sell me their music like on the first date,
Yeah.
so. And I believe if you don't have a clear idea of who you make music to, like you describe who you make music to so fucking perfectly that most artists can't even get closer. And so I think the reason why, and this is just me like because I'm speaking to you right now, I'm actually understanding why this is actually working. It's because you have such a good idea that when you uh run these campaigns and try to sell an emotion like an experience, it works so well because you know exactly who you're going to talk to,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So so
All like direct marketing, like if you check out Russell Brunson, who did ClickFunnels and .com secrets and everything, he talks about like this concept that's not his, but it's creating your ideal customer avatar. Like, and they go super deep with it. It's not a general vibe of like, it's like one person or maybe two people, like a man and a woman, if you're selling to multiple types of people. Like, this is the exact person I'm marketing to. It's like, oh, like I sell protein powder, so I'm selling it to John in Topeka, Kansas, who is 38 years old, has two kids, is a little bit overweight, but is really excited to get in shape and likes riding his bike and yada 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 yada, right? Like they like go super deep and they market to this one person. I'm a slightly broader of like this one group of people at the shows I actually play that are my friends that that I would hang out with anyways, but like same concept, like really being specific is helpful.
absolutely, man, that is amazing. And so you've already mentioned that you've grown a few playlists. I can see one, Mama Gaia Vibes, around 8,200 followers, and that
Yep.
is the Borderless Dance Party, 2,700. The Call of the Wild Vibes, almost 10,000. So what
Almost
is the
10,000, yeah. Probably
yeah?
a couple,
So what
maybe a
is
week or
the
two.
yeah? So what is it like? Why you didn't stick to just one playlist, but you created multiple ones? Like, what is the thought process?
Good question. So, uh I got the advice from, I mean, clearly the Mama Gaia playlist when it came out was working better than any other song I had. Even with bad targeting, I was getting like, 20 something cents per result on Meta.
Mm-hmm.
And I was, my other songs were more like 40, 50, 80, a dollar. Some of the songs just really weren't coming through. And the first visual I was using was the one that you've suggested to people, where it's just like either like a picture of the album art up top, or like I was actually using the music video for Mama Gaia up top, and then the bottom like a scroll of the playlist they're about to click to. So it's like really obvious, like this song, but a playlist. Right. I think giving people, like making it really obvious what people are clicking through to is helpful. But that one was working better. And then that Call of the Wild song came out, and I was testing different ones, and I tested that one, and that one was working really well. Borderless was already out, came out right before I started, like a month or two before I started the ads. And once they were working, I reached out to that collaborator and was like, hey, would you be down to go in on a playlist with me? And I've tried other ones too. Like I've got one other one running right now for my new songs, but it's going pretty slow. Even though I think it's a really catchy, good song that people like, it's more like 30 cents a click at best. And so I'm probably not going to run it for that long, or maybe I'll try a different chunk of the song or a different targeting. But then I've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think like 6 other playlists I've stopped running just because they weren't giving me nearly as good of clicks. And those songs that I was trying to promote are just down below on these other playlists. So the reason I'm running multiple right now is because they're all working. And the reason I'm not running even more is because they're not working. Like if they're working, I'm down to spend the money, because I'm getting so many new fans, and having the new fans and these good looking Spotify numbers has been getting me shows. I was planning a tour for January and February all up and down the West Coast of the United States. And I had previously been connected on email to these dances in Oakland and San Francisco that I really wanted to play. And I reached out like a year ago and I didn't hear back. And so I didn't stop there on that tour. And then I had a friend who played there, and I reached out to him, and I played his events in Colorado. So he gave me a glowing recommendation, like, hey, you know, I've got this guy. He's played my dance. He's a great DJ. He's a great friend. Highly recommend he play your dance. And that time the promoter reached back out. It was much more personal, so it makes sense. He's like, oh yeah, cool. Send me your stuff. I'll check it out. And I sent him my EPK and my list of DJ sets that I my favorite ones that I put on SoundCloud. And he was like, yeah, we'll check these out. And I didn't hear back for a few weeks, but that was right around the time my playlist really started growing. So I probably sent him my stuff when I had like maybe 4,000 or 5,000 followers at the beginning. And then I resent him just my Spotify profile to bump the thread. Like, hey, by the way, just still planning that tour. Let me know if you have any space. And just sent him my Spotify directly to my profile so he'd see the numbers. And he immediately reaches back like, yeah, which dates did you want again? And he booked me for 2 gigs that made me almost $1,000. And so it's like really seeing that work. So it's like, I see the investment. A lot of people ask like, oh, but how, with Spotify streaming royalties being what they are, being fairly low, how are you going to make your money back? And the answer I get is like, I mean, part of it's going to come back through Spotify streaming royalties, especially because now I've triggered the algorithm and I'm getting 50,000 free streams a month from, 55,000 plus, maybe 60,000 when you add up all the other little like, mood lists and on repeat and whatever else algorithmically is happening. So that is going to start coming back, and eventually it will, the tables will turn, the tipping point will be reached. But really, this is all about brand awareness. This is about getting the people that go to the festivals I want to play at, that go to the shows of the people I want to open for on tour, that go to the dances I'm already playing. This is about getting them all aware that I exist. And that's why it's worth it, because it's growing my brand overall. And I believe in my brand. I believe in my music. And so I got that very strong intuition that day with the Grasshoppers that it was time to start spending the money, even if I didn't know where it was coming from.
No, That's amazing. But also, I mean, it really goes to show you that, I mean, and that's super obvious, no shit that when you have, 40,000 monthly listeners, you can book shows more easily. I mean, it's
Amen.
obvious, but at the same time, if you do things right and, um, you know, start from having good music to knowing who your audience is to launching the right campaign with the right budget, with the right everything, uh, it's just, I mean, you're living proof. So I mean, I'm so, so excited for you. But something else that I wanted to cover. So just to give people, a quick walkthrough on how the campaigns actually work, and I can
Hmm.
give you like a quick intro, but um, for context, the other reason why these type of campaigns work is because you can run campaigns in two ways. You can post a post with a link that takes people to a Spotify playlist or song, a profile, or whatever. Um, and then you're simply going to optimize for people clicking, not necessarily people doing the thing that you want them to do, such as
Hmm.
going to your playlist, listening to your music, or whatever. Um, and so you're essentially telling Meta, hey, I'm not interested in people listening to my music. I'm just interested in people clicking on my ad, which is
Yeah.
it's nonsense. And you're also not collecting any type of data. Like you're not like if in 2 months from now, or I mean, whenever you want, really, you are getting a lot of conversions from people in the US or even from a city, you can still run a retargeting campaign because you're using the pixel and running conversion ad campaigns. Then now you can reach those people that it's going to cost you way less to reach because they already showed interest in the first place, and they are way more likely to know who you are, give you their email, buy a ticket, or buy merch, whatever that might be.
Hmm.
So this is what really makes the difference. And you know, um, ultimately, you want people that do you want to listen to your music and not just clicking on random ads. So I just thought it was important, like
Yeah.
mentioning what the actual
Yeah.
process was.
One thing I really appreciate about Smart Noise is that onto when I go onto the link section and look at the data that the link is giving me, you guys have that good Google Analytics data on in all your smart links. And even my really good ads that are working great only have maybe like a 40% conversion rate from when somebody clicks to view the landing page as opposed to do that second click to actually go to Spotify. So having that second click, a lot of people I feel you are like, oh no, but like I want to get as many people there as possible. Why put up the barrier to entry? Well, because you filter out all the bots, you filter out all the people that accidentally clicked and didn't mean to while they were scrolling. You filter out
You
all the
wouldn't
people
get that
that had
anyway.
low intent, right? Those aren't real listens. They're not real listeners. And I mean, shoot, just because somebody actually clicks the second link and loads the Spotify page doesn't actually mean they're going to sit there and listen to music, you know? I imagine some people open like, ooh, I'm going to listen to that later, hit save on the Spotify playlist and then close it and then never come back, you know? And, other people show up and they listen to all 2 hours of music on the list. Like I've run my numbers. Um, One thing that I do is I every week go through each of my ads and I check up on some things. So I go to my Meta Ads Manager first and I go say, okay, this is how much money I spent. This is how many results I got, and this is how many impressions I got, like 1,000 impressions. So I put that into a Google Sheet. And then I go to Spotify for artists. And this is one of the reasons I really like using the playlist method is because in Spotify for artists, we can go in there and you can go to your music, go to playlists, and it'll show you where your music was played. And if you're spending money on a playlist, that will be near the top, and you can see, oh wow, this week, like if I pull up those playlists right now, and I can just
If you
click
actually
this.
want to share your screen, you
Oh
can do
yeah,
that.
let's do it.
Show us the good stuff.
See, boo 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 boo. Yeah, let's do that one. Cool. So if we come in here to music playlists, first off, we can see in the last month, I got 45,000 streams from radio, over 9,000 from Discover Weekly, a few thousand from these other, and a few hundred from these other algorithmic playlists. So what are we looking at? Maybe like 60,000 plays there. There's my This Is Luke Rain playlist. I haven't been promoting it yet, so it's still pretty low, but it exists. And then we
I
get
mean,
to the
it's
song.
wait. Sorry.
Yep.
Good. I mean, yes, it's low, but dude, 39 listeners and 566 streams. I mean, yes,
Hey.
the number itself is not big, but I want to stop for a second and put things into perspective. Like,
Yeah.
sure, the listeners is not like the number is not super high, but you know, even the cold or the wild vibes, you have 4,700 listeners and 53, almost 54,000 streams. Like, that is incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, I mean, on, yeah, it's like, between 14 and 15 streams per listener on the This Is Luke Rain playlist. It's over 11 streams a listener on Call of the Wild. Um, that's like the real power of the playlisting thing. It's like I said, if somebody shows up, presses play on just your song, I've heard people be like, oh, well, saves are the most important thing. So you want to send them to the single so that like they press save on the song and then they'll listen to it again later. Well, I've saved a lot of songs that I'd never listen to again later and forgot existed. Or like, that's dope, save, forget, right? And some people are like, yo, follows are the most important thing. Because then they'll get it on release radar. But I've been looking at my numbers. It's between like 6 and 12% of my listeners actually listen to my music in the first month. And I've grown it from like 600 listeners to like 20. How many? How many am I at now?
2,500?
2,500 monthly listeners. So I've grown like 2,000 monthly listeners, but the percentage stays really similar. In the first month of a listen, only maybe on average 8% of my listeners or my followers actually listen to a new song. So I'm noticing like I'm less impressed by those things. But when somebody presses play on my music, over the last month, I'm almost 5 streams per listener on average. If we go over
Yeah,
the
that's
last
pretty good.
year, that's a lot higher. It's over 6. And we can like see these numbers. This day right here, September 30th was the day I launched. And anybody watching this on video can just see the way this, I mean, it looks like a mountain range, it's like it goes from flatland to mountain range. I was really steady. I was releasing every little spike here in the flatland was a release. Like, oh, I get a little more because I'd be really, really pushing it, and then it would go back to normal. And then I started running these ads, and it just climbs. And then, of course, this day right here is the day I triggered release radar. That's under 2 months. Yeah, about
I think
7-ish weeks.
it was Discover Weekly because
That's
Discover
what I
Weekly
meant. That's what I meant. Thank you.
triggers a month.
Yeah, that is
Yeah,
what I meant.
that's
Discover
amazing.
Weekly. Thank you for that. Making sure people don't get it twisted. Yeah, so I went from having a day with 1,200 listeners to a day with 2,500 listeners. Doubled my listeners overnight, and it's literally never gone below 1,700 monthly listeners again. And I mean, since Christmas, I haven't been below 2,000 listeners, and I even had a day, one Monday with when I re-triggered Discover Weekly with 4,500 listeners, 4,600 listeners. So, it comes in waves, but it's really working. And like you know, having these numbers of like 6 streams per listener shows the algorithm that when people start listening to your music, they listen to a lot of it. And that makes them want to show it to people in radio context, which is why, I've got, just these are my top 10 songs. But in the last month, Mama Gaia's got 9,000 plays on radio. Call of the Wild's got 6,000. Borderless got 5,000. Why? Because those are the ones that are at the top of these playlists. And so it's like, oh, people listen to this one the most. And then there it goes. And then if we look at Call of the Wild, like we were saying, in a month, I'm getting 4,700 people on this playlist. That's the one that currently has the biggest budget. Borderless, my collaborator was like, hey, I need to lower the budget. So we lowered it to just like a few bucks a day. But still, we're getting about 10 plays per person. That's just on my music, and every other song is his song. So actually, that's probably closer to like 16 or 20 plays per person on that playlist. And he's also really, really doing a lot
And
better on his numbers.
what was or what is your average daily budget for these type of campaigns?
So I can just pull that up. I probably won't put that on the screen, but let's see over here. I can pull up what I'm spending per day right now to get these numbers, and they've been pretty steady because these playlists are working. If you don't know how to do it, when you go to your Facebook ads manager, you can go to the ads reporting. Sometimes it's hard to see your full numbers from the campaign selection, especially if you like delete campaigns, but the ads reporting section that's right under it on the sidebar will work great. So if we click to yesterday, I'm spending about $28 a day on Call of the Wild. I'm spending about $15 a day on Mama Gaia, and I'm spending about $5 a day on Borderless. So even at $5 a day on a playlist that I'm splitting with somebody else, where it's like literally like, will this no, it won't, because it's doing a certain tab. Okay, well, you can't see that anyways, but every other song on that playlist is my collaborator song, and only the top 2 are songs we collaborated on. So it's like the first 2 are us, and then it's one of my songs. But then after that, it's his song, my song, his song, my song, his song, my song, all the way down the playlist. So even with that, $5 a day, I'm getting 750 people a month, 7,600 streams a month.
Which is also going to which is also going to give you more algorithmic plays, etc. And the reason I asked the budget question is because this is something that works whether you have $5 a day or $500 a day. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, exactly. And like if I go back to my music, go back to songs, let me find this one. This one right here. One of my students who I teach production and engineering, Ace Pacific, did a remix of one of my songs, Storm Drain. He did a house remix of it. And he was, sitting at, I don't know, 200 plays for a while there. And, not really, the song had been out for like over a year, wasn't really doing anything. And then he started running $5 a day to a playlist. He doesn't have a lot of music out, so he filled a playlist with a lot of other people's songs that are in his vibe and started running it. And now he's up to almost 2,700 plays on it. And, he's getting like, he went from getting like 0 plays a day, maybe 1, to getting on average, at least 20 plays a day, up to 40. And that grows steadily. I think this playlist strategy is supercharged if you have a larger catalog, especially a larger catalog
Yeah.
that all fits that vibe. That's why
Yeah.
it's worked so well for me because I have, like, on the Mama Gaia playlist, the top 22 songs or so are my songs. And I have like 50 songs out, but I didn't put all of them on this playlist because some of them don't make sense to be on it. Like Mama Gaia is this like earthy, female vocal driven song about connecting to Mother Earth. And so I put all the songs that are either like vibey instrumentals or have like empowering female vocals or like positive mantras. So I put like 22 of my songs, like maybe half of my songs on this playlist. And then the bottom half of the playlist is songs I produced for other people that are also in that vibe. And so there's maybe like 40 something songs on the playlist, but they're all like a really strong vibe. But the first 20 something that people might listen to are like really strongly in this idea of music. Whereas even like I added one that was like kind of out of the vibe, and my lady friend was like playing that she likes to play that playlist before yoga class. She teaches yoga, and so she like plays that when people are coming into the yoga studio. And then this one song came up, and she's like, "I like this song, but that's not a Mama Gaia vibe. Skip." And I was like, yeah, good point. And I went and I removed it from the playlist. It really isn't in the right vibe. So it's about curating that vibe, whether it's your music or not. But the more music you have, the better this playlisting strategy works because, as we can see from this playlisting, thing, like, okay, cool, yeah, 8,000, like 4,000, 4,700 people listened to this first song, Call of the Wild, over 8,000 times this month. That means I'm getting repeat business, like a lot. And then more, you know, more than once, all those 4,000 people listen to Mama Gaia. And it's a really similar vibe of song with the same singer. And then there's this one, Just Love, that one got 3,500, different singer, but really similar vibe. Then Under the Moon, same singer, but, similar vibe. Turn the Dial, different lead singer, but similar vibe. And these are all getting like about 3,000 plays per month,
It's interesting
just
because
being
this
below
is
it.
just looking at the uh, list of songs in the playlist that are getting plays. It kind of reminds me of software company and how many people stay from the first month until the 11th or 12th.
Mm-hmm.
uh the you have such a good retention from the third song to the what is it, 3, 6, 9, 10th
Yeah.
song, where you go from like 3,500 to 2,000. So that's a very good retention in basically 8 songs. But obviously you are gonna get the highest sort of churn, quote unquote, because it's it's like a example of a software company, from the first song to the second song and then the third song. So I think you know and by the way, it's not bad because I would expect to go from 8,000 to 5,000 the second song. It's actually pretty good. Like, it's not alarming by any means. It's pretty normal. Um,
Yeah. I
and
see that
this is
across my
actually better too.
playlists.
Yeah, that's actually better. Yeah. So, perhaps something that people should consider doing is, testing different songs and see what the retention rate is inside the playlist. Because obviously, when you get people hooked and they listen to the first song, you want them to listen to as many songs as possible.
Yeah.
But
Agreed.
that's great, man. I mean,
Yeah.
we
Testing is really
you
important, and checking your metrics is really important. Like I said, I have a Google sheet where I just put all these numbers in every week, and I can make sure, it's like I have it go, so it's like, okay, cool. I put in the how many listeners did the playlist get, how many streams did the playlist get? How many streams did the song I was advertising get? And then I have the amount I spent every that week. And then I just do the simple math functions. This cell divided by that cell equals, or, equals this cell divided by that cell. And then I can be like, okay, cool. Like, if all I cared about was listeners, they cost me 15 cents a listener. Results was maybe like my best playlists are like down to like 10 cents a play, or per result. But, not everybody who clicks through listens. So, maybe it's a little more. Maybe it's like if it was like 11 cents per result, it's like 14 cents per click. And then it's like, but then per listen, it might be only like a cent and a half. Per first song listen, if that's all like, and this is like, if that's all I cared about, if like the money was, if I only cared about this one thing, that's how much it costs. But of course, we're getting all the things. And then because we're running them through my Instagram account, I'm getting crazy Instagram followers. I was stagnant, less than 100 Instagram followers per year for years. I was at like 2,400, not bad, but not great. I broke 5,500 yesterday. In 5 months, I've gained over 3,000 Instagram followers just because I'm running ads on Instagram.
Yeah, dude, like, exactly. Like, by just, quote unquote, just growing your playlist, you're getting a lot of streams, a lot of listeners, you're triggering algorithmic playlists, you're getting booked for shows, you're growing your audience on iTunes.
Yeah. It's a lot of things that are working. And then nice. I do kind of, if you're down, if you got the time, I would be down to talk a little bit about like how I target and how I make the ads. Dope. Yeah. So the ads, I've found that the best ads are like vertical reel style videos that often, if I have a music video, I'll use the music video, like Mama Gaia and Borderless, I have music videos for. So I just tested different chunks of the music video, found which one was working best. And then I'll put, but other ones like Call of the Wild, we shot a music video, but I haven't edited it yet. So that one, I just went to a stock video website. I use this one called Pexels.com, where there's a bunch of free stock video you can like donate to the photographers if you want, but there's all this stock video of everything. So the Call of the Wild ad is literally just like shots of animals and nature while she sings about nature. And it is my best ad I've ever done. It was so simple to make, no fancy editing. I just like used free software, used DaVinci Resolve, and just cut it to the beat. Like you can see where the drums are and just like, okay, slice the video there on the kick drum, slice it on the snare drum. And then it looks professional with this good footage. CapCut. Yeah, CapCut, right? CapCut. Super simple, free, easy things to use. And then I have like meme text. Like I remember you guys suggested one that was looking for people whose playlists sound like this. That's what I'm using on Borderless. That's working great. And I've tried some other ones with like Call of the Wild and Mama Gaia that are like a lot of memes have that POV, right? POV, your intuition tells you this playlist is going to be fire. That one's working okay, but like the one for I think it's because of the song. It's just not as catchy as these other ones, I guess. But like the Mama Gaia one is like POV. This playlist has you dancing with Mama Gaia, feeling like, or whatever. Yeah, this playlist has you vibing with Mama Gaia, feeling like, and it's just got like a little cut of the music video of her just like vibing out, touching trees, And like it's like the lyric is the roots, the trees, the sun, the flame. So she's like literally touching the roots and the trees and in the sun, And it's like we shot this on my phone in an hour while taking a walk through a park in Arizona. Like and I cut it together, using free software and made an ad. And then like is there one of the Call of the Wild ones that came up? Because I want to show, like, even if you don't have a camera, even if you don't have a cool looking singer, dancing around, being
Which one is
beautiful.
it?
That one on the left.
This one?
Yeah, that one right there. When the playlist got you feeling the call of the wild, right? So it's like shot of a deer, shot of a waterfall, shot of, grass blowing in the wind, somebody touching a tree, a monkey, some horses walking at sunset, a fire, an elephant. Like it's just stock video. It's all stock video from this website that just is like, oh, it's nature stuff. This is my best ad I've ever run. That
That's the one,
one,
right?
yeah, that one I'm currently getting 11-cent average per result, as low as 9 cents per result on click-throughs.
Wow. And
Yeah,
you're using Pexels. That's one.
Pexels. Yeah,
That's the one.
yeah,
Got it.
super
Yeah.
easy. And then for targeting, one last thing is, a lot of people try to get really really pointed with their targeting. Like, oh, I got to only do the perfect bands that are exactly like my audience. But what I found is when I do that, my cost per result is way higher. So I did some experimenting of like, okay, well, like Call of the Wild. It has a female vocalist, even though it's kind of niche what she's talking about. It's like got like this kind of semi poppy R&B style beat, and she's singing in an R&B pop style. So I went really broad. I went super broad on like, it's got, I think, Miley Cyrus and Florence and the Machine, and and then like some like really like there's MC Yogi and DJ Taz Rashid, and some more like people who are like very much in like that like conscious medicine music vibe. And so it's like Nako and Medicine for the People, like these. And I've got this giant list of like 50 targetable interests. And I I used to try like, oh well, I'm touring in the United States, so I only want to run ads to the United States. But of course, the United States is not a cheap place to get clicks, because a lot of people are trying to advertise to the people in the United States or in Europe, right? So, and then, I know I've seen the ones that were like, hey, separate tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 into different ones. But I've actually gotten the best results by putting all tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 into one big ad set. But I actually delete a couple of countries. I delete especially India, because much love to the people in India, and I think y'all would like my music, but I've noticed that country has an outsized amount of bot clicks. Like I was like, oh my God, I'm getting like 4 and 5 cents a click. This is amazing. And that's why it's important to go check your Spotify for artists, because most of those people, even though they were clicking through, were not listening. I was
Oh,
getting like only like, at that time, it was only like 30% of the results were actually listeners. And then when I deleted, I noticed, I looked in the analytics on Smart Noise and noticed that a crazy number of my clicks were coming for India. So I duplicated the ad set, deleted India, and I duplicated again and deleted a few more of the tier 3 countries. And both of those ad sets did way better, really similarly. So I realized, okay, it's probably mostly India. And then recently, like Taiwan has changed a bunch of regulations. So I always get error messages. Even though the ads are running, it just keeps giving me the error message that it's not running in Taiwan. So I'm like, I don't know how to make that go away except to stop advertising to Taiwan. So Taiwanese fans, when Facebook figures that out, well, I'll start advertising to you again. I love y'all, but for my ads health, I needed to take a couple countries out. But so having a very wide, broad reaching geo targeting and audience, and letting the algorithm find the people. Like my friends that I said I was trying to find, even though I didn't try to target them specifically with their actual interests or their location, my friends tell me they're seeing my ads all the time, because Meta understands. They Once people start clicking, they're like, oh, that's who to show the ad to. People like
exactly.
this.
Exactly. And that's not something that you can get and optimize for if you're only optimizing for clicks. When you run conversion ad campaigns, you're using a landing page, you're using a pixel, then Meta can learn who the people that click to go to your Spotify actually are. So then they can serve your ads to more people like them.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, I agree that broad interests, broad audiences now tend to work the best, and I
Hmm.
think you know with time we are going to see broader and broader
Yeah.
audiences, and eventually we are just going to hit population. Meta will just
I've
take
heard
that
some
on the
people
target.
already experimenting with that of like having almost no targeting at all or maybe
Well,
none and just being like, "Hey, go for it."
well, I mean, just so you know, both for Smart Noise, as in the company, but also for campaigns that I've run for music myself, I've been using literally no interest, like
Yeah.
zero.
It's, the algorithms are getting good at it. They'll start showing
Yeah,
it to
because
people, see who
yeah,
clicks and be
because
like,
like
"Oh, target."
exactly because like the what you put in the ad also makes a lot of difference. If your caption says music startup, then it's gonna up feed that piece of information to the Meta AI so that they can serve the ads to more people like, quote unquote, music startup sort of ecosystem. If you mention, techno music, it's going to do the same thing. It's going to analyze the text on the video, the content of the video, whether it's music, whether it's speech. So yeah, I mean, it's a fucking billion-dollar company. They know how to like that's how they make money. So if people that run ads see better results, I mean they both win.
Hmm. Yeah. And there's
Yeah,
one other piece that I've noticed, like I keep getting these ads and suggestions on my ads to consolidate, but I've noticed that like there's like, no, put all your ads in one ad set. And I'm like, well, I used to, but it would just only pick one ad from my ad set and put all the budget behind that, and like literally would not even I wasn't even getting impressions on the other ads. It used to like really evenly distribute it and then eventually be like, oh, this one's the best one. We'll just optimize. Lately, I've noticed that just doing like make my ad set, put one ad in it, then duplicate it, swap the ad, duplicate it, swap the ad has been working better for me to actually be able to test. And then I can just manually turn off the ones that aren't working.
yeah. What I would do is I would do exactly that and only include multiple ads under the same ad sets. Only when you know that all the ads inside that ad set are actually winning ads.
Mm-hmm.
So
Exactly.
you
That
you
makes
have like
sense.
your like scaling campaigns where you are only using audiences that are proven to work, ads that are proven to work, and then you have a separate campaign, separate ad sets, whatever, where you basically test new audiences, new ads, and so when they you can almost graduate them as winners and then put them back to the main scaling protocol. So
Cool. That's really cool to hear.
yeah,
Thank you. And
yeah,
then one
absolutely.
one
But
one last cool
I mean,
piece
go,
is
no, go, go,
one last
go.
cool piece is um I'm like 6 weeks into this campaign, right around the time I triggered Discover Weekly. Um I got a call from the dude that runs the label that I had been releasing a lot of songs on. He's like a bigger artist. He's, I don't know, like 450,000 monthly listeners, I think, right now. Let me see. Yeah, about 440,000 monthly listeners. And he, could see all my numbers because I'm on his label. And he was like, dude, what are you doing? It's working so well. It's working better than the stuff I'm running for the label. How'd you do it? And I started explaining to him. He's like, oh, I don't have time for all that. I'm just going to hire you to run my ads. So,
There you go.
I started running ads for him too. And yeah, if anybody out there hears this and just wants to hire me, hey,
Exactly.
what's up?
There
I'm
you
open
go.
for business.
Hire the man, Luke.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. No,
And
I mean,
definitely though it's accessible. Get the Smart Noise account, follow these steps, start testing it. You know, it's very accessible. This is all stuff y'all can do yourself.
we gave out so much sauce that we can do pasta for 15 people, man.
Amen. Yeah.
No, that was
Enjoy
great,
the
man. That
sauce,
was great.
family. Yeah, dude,
That
great.
was great.
Great talking with you, man.